Hey folks, and thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Local Legends. Today I'm joined by Chris from Apex Soft Tissue. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having us.
That's okay. So it's been a little while actually. I was coming to you for quite some time, and you were doing it out of a place that you were living in, a little space that you had there. Moved up in the world now. You've got your own little section here in down in Gordon. That's right.
Yes,
Yep.
we're in Gordon, in the Gordon Centre.
Yep. Okay. And tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about the change and the shift into here and how all that's gone.
Yeah, so I guess like any small business, or like many small businesses, in humble beginnings. So we did start out of home, which is an important place to start, and it was set up well for that. But definitely the next sort of organic phase of the business, I think, is to get into a more professional setting.
Yeah.
And that opportunity came along. So we're co-located here inside Good Move Physiotherapy. Jonathan, who's the principal of that business, is a friend of mine, and it made sense for us to be under the same roof. And the location's great because for our customer base, it's very local. So it all worked out really well, and it's great to have this space. It's a good location, and I think it just moves the business forward in its next phase. So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah. So Jonathan, does he offer something different to what you offer, and you guys complement each other, or is it very similar service?
Yeah, look, so I guess this is the thing in the space of musculoskeletal world. There's so many different options for people. So Jonathan is a physiotherapist. So I guess you could sort of put him in the space more of being in the rehab side of things, is what people generally associate physios with. Yep. But he's also a very hands-on manual physio. Whereas what we do here in soft tissue world is very much manual. So we're very much concerned with using our hands to treat soft tissue injuries specifically.
Yeah, and I remember when I was using you, it wasn't so much about getting all the tools out and the different machines that you can use. It's really about getting in with your hands and I guess feeling around. So with your fingers, you can actually determine a little bit more about what's going on. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that and sort of why using hands are a bit more important than the actual machines that you get to use?
Yeah, look, I think it was put really nicely to me actually by one of my teachers at uni, and that was that if you can't find it, you can't fix it.
Okay, yeah.
And so, look, it just comes down to being able to have a database that you've built up over time to know what normal feels like, so that you can assess properly and you can find something that doesn't feel like it's quite right, and you know where to go to. And that's just something that happens over time, and by having hands on a lot of different people, and you just build that database as you go. So yeah, look, I believe strongly that practitioners should use their hands more.
Yep.
And that's where all of our sensory receptors are in the fingers. And so yeah, look, it's a very important tool, and certainly for a manual therapist, the hands are number one, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I know we've jumped the gun a little bit. Let's go back a little bit to where it all started. How did you get into what you're doing now?
Yeah, so look, I've always had an interest in this side of things, but as you can tell, and as the listeners can't tell, but the viewers will be able to tell, I'm a little bit older, and I've had this business for a couple of years, but it is a career change for me. So I actually come from a tech background.
Okay.
I worked in corporate for 17 years, and I got sick of sitting behind a desk, basically. And I think just over time, as maturing, you develop interests in other areas, and it's probably quite normal to do that and go through that. And I got to a point where I wanted to make a change, and I was just lucky that the stars aligned and I was able to turn my life on its head, and had support from a lot of great people to be able to do that. So yeah, look, I wanted to head into healthcare, and so I decided to study because I think having education is something that makes you feel a little bit more secure in that sort of a change. So I headed off to uni, studying chiropractic at Macquarie Uni. I'm 4 years in now, so I got one to go. But I wanted to be a chiropractor that was really great with soft tissue work, because that was what, for me, I found in my trials and tribulations of working out in the gym and sports and things like that. I found that was really what had a significant impact And I think in a lot of spaces now, it's almost seen as like a secondary thing for practitioners, that they have their primary way of treating people, but soft tissue work is often something that we kind of throw in at the end, or it's not really a primary go-to, and it's not done in a very clinical way. So I wanted to sort of flip that around a little bit.
Yeah.
And that seems to resonate with some other people as well that are looking for that sort of thing. So I've kind of just been developing that, and I got into massage early in the piece and studied that early. And so I've been in that space now while I've still been studying, and we're slowly bringing it all together.
Yeah, nice. And so how did you find the early days of business? So opening up a new business, you're studying at the same time, still trying to make a living as well. What do you think were the sort of key factors that got you from where you were at the start to where you are today? And maybe some advice for some people thinking of opening up their own, whether it be physiotherapy, soft tissue, anything like that?
Yeah, look, I think it's hard. It's slow, and that's the reality for everyone. I think you'd generally like to think that if you get your Facebook page and an Instagram and you get your brand and you put it out there, you're just going to have people flying in, and that's just not what happens. So I think it's trying to network as much as possible and just be confident, get yourself out there. And just be ready to do the hard yards, I think, because there's peaks and troughs, and sometimes it's exciting and other times it's a bit discouraging. Yeah. And I think it's just sticking with it and just backing yourself.
Yeah, that resiliency, isn't it? Just to continue to keep going despite the sort of roller coasters that you go on. And it's been interesting to see your journey, because when we had first met, the social side of things, there wasn't a lot of that there. And then probably 3 to 4 months after we had started working together, the videos started to come out, and you started to become a lot more educational around what you were doing and really giving out a lot of information. You're always like that. When I came and saw you and you were like, this is the problem, this is how we're going to fix it, and you'd educate me through that whole thing. But now you're really going to the public around that to say, hey, these are some of the main concerns, and these are some of the myths and things that we're hearing in the public eye, and here's what my thoughts are on them. How did that all come about around that video space? Is it something that you'd seen? I mean, you've got a bit of an entrepreneurial background in terms of maybe the people that are supporting around you. Was that a bit of a consideration?
Yeah, talking to other people about what's a good idea in small business at the moment, and and then following some other people and seeing what they're doing, and video just kept on coming up, and so eventually had to bite the bullet and put my mug on the video. But it's not an easy thing to do, and I think it's I'm still learning and still improving, and it's just all about reps. So you just have to start somewhere. And I think it's a bit of a mental barrier to get over as well, because you have to be okay with other people watching you and with other people judging you, and you just have to let go of it and just be okay with it. And it takes a little bit of time, and the only way to do it is to start doing it.
Just keep going with it. It's that vulnerability piece, isn't it, about sort of saying to the public, like, this is who I am, I'm just going to go out there and go and give it a crack. And I found that sometimes if you're too polished, it's probably not the right way to go about it, because I think people like someone that they can, I guess, appeal to, and they feel like they're similar to. But I think the content's obviously very important, like the content that you're putting out. I mean, I've watched and I implement it myself, so at least it gives the audience an opportunity to go and try and fix themselves, and if they can't, actually come and see you. So let's talk about maybe some of the common things that you see, maybe from particularly maybe business people and people that sit down quite regularly. What are some of the common injuries that you see, and maybe some things that they could do just to prevent some of those injuries from occurring?
Yeah, look, I guess the most sort of common things that everyone experiences at some point in time is usually something to do with the lower back, so some sort of lower back discomfort. The shoulder is another one, and probably the neck. They're the big ones, and just generally because of our lifestyles, the neck particularly is coming up a lot more now, because we're often looking down a lot more, and our posture's sort of generally changing, I suppose. The shoulder kind of ties in that as well, because it loses a bit of mobility that comes with that sort of posture. And ultimately the lower back cops it a bit too, because as a population we're generally a bit more sedentary these days. So I think it's a mindfulness to sort of try to maintain good positions wherever you are. And so what I mean by a good position is being active in the position. So, as you and I sitting here right now, we're going to start to get a little bit comfortable, and we're going to start to slouch a bit and get a bit switched off. I was
feeling that before when you started saying about sitting down. I was like, we better get up.
And so, as that happens, you start to sort of hang on to the passive tissues. So the more like the ligaments and things like that. And so we start to sort of creep into that kind of hanging, slouching sort of position. And that's where we're not as active. So we kind of want to just take a moment to switch back on again, and then we're going to actually use the muscles to support stuff, and that's where we're in a better place. So coming back to a neutral position and not overemphasizing things and getting crazy about it, but just being active and being supported.
Yeah, and I guess being mindful of that. I think that was the key word that I took away from that, is actually realizing that you're going to get busy at work, you're going to be sitting down for a long period of time, but just be mindful that you just got to get up, or you just got to move around.
I think that's
key.
Like
a reminder or something.
Yeah,
right?
And look, I've been stuck in the exams for the last month, and so the thing that really got me through that was just making sure that I took more frequent breaks, because I was at the laptop a lot. I was stuck in these positions that I sort of tell people to stay away from.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was key to make sure that I got up, went for a walk, just took my body through some general ranges of motion, just to let it know that, hey, we're still here, we're still wanting to use you.
Getting the blood flowing and making all that happen.
Yeah,
right?
So it's just key to get up and move, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about business vision for the next 5 years. Where would you like to see it go, and how can we help you make that happen?
Yeah, look, I think it's very interesting just to, in some ways, let things play out and see where it goes, because if you'd probably asked me a year ago that we'd be here now, that would have been amazing. So look, in a year's time, I'll be getting very close to graduating as a registered chiropractor, so that's very exciting. And my goal is to bring a soft tissue focus to that. So I really want to be a doctor that manages musculoskeletal problems for people, and does so in a way that's probably going to be a little bit different to what you'd expect from your everyday chiropractic office that you might walk into. But, that's important to me, in that that's been something that I've had as a long-term vision. So I think we'll be getting close to that. And look, hopefully we can grow the business and continue to help more people. And at the moment, the goal is to be able to help this local community and people around here, and hopefully within 5 years we're growing that a bit more, and we're able to really add value to more people around Australia.
Yeah, for sure. Australia, okay. So you're thinking like travel and trying to get outside of this little bubble here? Is that what you're thinking?
Look, I think, this style of treatment and management, overseas, I think it's done better. In Australia, it's not very well recognised. It's not very popular yet. So I think we'd really like to try and make that more accessible to more people in Australia, because, from what I'm seeing anyway, from really giving excellent soft tissue management to some of these problems, especially people that have had more chronic problems they've been carrying for a long time, and they've tried some different treatments, and it hasn't quite got there. When we really pay attention to that and treat that appropriately from a soft tissue perspective, they're having some great results. So I'd really like to develop that out more and make that more accessible to more people.
Yeah, I love that. Super exciting vision. I mean, I love the fact that you're just happy to play it out, let it see how it goes, and don't try and control it too much. It's been amazing to see your journey. I remember the first time I came and sat down with you, we actually sat down and we just had a general conversation, and you held that every single time that I came in, just sat down, hey, how are you going? What's happening? How's work? And hey, how's that injury going? Or how are we going with that? And I think that it's been really cool to see your business grow and your business change, moving from where you were just working out of home into a really, really cool space like this.
Thank you.
It's super exciting to see that happen, and it's going to be even more exciting to see what you do moving forward. So we all wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
If anyone wants to find you, social media, Instagram, you're absolutely killing that game now. Lots of videos going up there.
Thank you. Yes, no, we're going to keep doing that, and we'll keep working on the video presence. But it was actually, I can give you a plug as well, because I think we talked about that a few times, and just your encouragement to get out there and do that a little bit more, that was always kind of ringing in my mind a little bit. So thank you for that. And it's still a work in progress, but we'll get there.
No, you're nailing it, man. It's all looking really, really good online. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, Instagram, I think you're on Facebook as well. Correct me if I'm
Correct,
wrong.
yeah, yep. Facebook as well. I guess my pitch to people is that if you've tried massage before and you like that style of hands-on treatment, but let's just say you've got a more specific kind of problem that's been bothering you for a while and it's not going away, and maybe getting a massage helps it a bit, but it almost dances over it a little bit, just doesn't quite zero in. I think if that's you, then you'll love what we do, because we really try to get in and be able to tell you what the problem is and what's causing it, and then what we can do to help that. So it just adds that extra layer on top.
Yeah, well, I put it as relax. The reason why I always came to you was like it was relaxing, but it actually fixed me. Whereas a massage is like a full body thing most of the time, and it may, like you said, it may just go over the problem and may touch on it, but doesn't actually solve the issue. Whereas when I was coming to you, it was a massage, super relaxing, but we really got deep into that issue. That was, my neck was niggling for a very long time, and we similarly actually solved that problem, but through keeping me relaxed, but also really targeting that area.
Yeah, and look, we sort of have two different streams here, I guess. So we do have the massage, and I think that's an important thing to offer. I'm a massage therapist, and who doesn't like getting a massage for an hour? That's amazing. But then the other side of it is that more sort of clinical side, where we'll sit down and we'll actually really take a detailed history. And then we'll go into assessment and testing, and we'll really try to understand what's causing this problem, what's involved in pain if there's pain, what's limiting range of motion if that's a factor as well, and then we'll talk about what we need to do to fix that. So there's two sort of things there that we kind of work from, and it just depends what people need.
Yeah, love that. Well, people are going to come down, check you out, see what you're all about. I appreciate you being on the podcast. We look forward to seeing your journey moving forward.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.